Welcome to the Pisons Podcast. We're your hosts, the brothers from other mothers, Dante, Dave, and Sark. Join us as we talk about current events, our wives, kids, or whatever else life is throwing at us this week. With the Pisons, you're with family.
4-point lead. Here comes Fox. 5 seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
To say it's a dream come true, is that too cliche? It's just. And for me to see, there were a couple of moments that really, I have to say, touched me. And both of them had to do with Patrick Ewing. Because during the parade, I saw that they had Patrick Ewing in the parade, like he was actually riding along in the parade. But the night that they won on ESPN after the fact, they had Patrick Ewing join the show, and it's like Ernie, Charles Barkley, Shaq. And Shaq like took a moment to just basically say how much he loved Patrick Ewing, how Patrick Ewing was like the man, his role model when he was growing up, the guy he was like he most looked up to as a player when he was a young man. And that when he first played Patrick Ewing here in the Garden, he was terrified, and just how much love and respect he had for Patrick Ewing and how he was so happy to see, like happy for him to have this. And I was like, when Shaq was playing, I hated him because he was a rival to Ewing. And he was Shaq, and everybody loved Shaq and all that he did. So I hated him for that. But in the last 10 years, like since he's retired, there's a whole different side of him that has come out. And I like the guy so much. It's crazy.
I do
he
too,
seems
man.
so likable. And when I saw that, I was like, Jesus, now he just won my heart. I mean, I don't know what to say, because as a guy who watched Patrick Ewing year after year after year be surrounded by I don't want to say middling, but largely middling players. Like he did not have guys like some of the other guys on the Knicks here. Like Karl Anthony Towns is a good player, but he could not carry them to a championship. Brunson is a great player, but all by himself, he couldn't carry them to a championship. It's like having the right combination of guys. And the Knicks in the 90s were just like Patrick Ewing, and then a bunch of guys around him who, when they like on a good night, could be amazing. But on the wrong night, could be like just not even showing up.
Hot or cold. Yeah, absolutely. And you would know right away. You'd know right away.
Yes.
It'd be a long night, or Starks
You look
is
at
on.
John Starks. Yep. John Starks is a guy just super streaky. He would just have one of these games where he would just hit everything. And then he'd have a game where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And then he's got, Charles Oakley, who, say what you will about Charles Oakley, the guy is tough as nails. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, he's an absolute brute, but he's not a scorer. Yeah. Like he's an enforcer. And Charles Smith, that's another one. It's like, I guess on paper, he's a great player, but like to watch him play, he never achieved, his potential or what he could be. I'm trying to think of some of the other players on the team at the time. It's just like, for all the years I ever watched, it was always like Patrick Ewing trying to bring, like just through brute strength, a bunch of other guys across the finish line with him. He just never had the supporting cast that he needed. So anyway, that was just a moment that really touched me, and I was thrilled to see it. And I'm so happy. Like, good on Shaq, man. More power to him. That was awesome.
That is awesome. I thought you were going to say, I also saw a photo of Ewing holding the trophy. Like they let him hold the trophy.
Yeah.
And that was touching to me too.
Yeah, it was.
Because it just felt like that was like a multiverse that just didn't happen here. It was like somewhere he's holding that trophy. That was really cool to see. And I'm with you. I like Shaq, man. I've liked Shaq ever since he did a 311 video, man. He's a 311 fan. So
that's right.
That says something about him.
I forgot about that.
He's a chill dude, and I like what he has to say. And I think he's a good, in those broadcasts, he's a good counter to Barkley, who's like just kind of running his mouth the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because Shaq tends to talk in one language. It sort of talks like this, and none of the consonants are all that hard. He's just sort of running through everything. He's touching them, but he's not really hitting them very hard. It's like, and then rebounds is
shark.
Did you hear they've been? I saw something on another one of these reels. There's a story that both Shaq and Barkley tell about a fight they got into when they were both playing. You probably know this story, Dave. I would think that this is something you've heard.
Actually, I'm not even sure if I know this. Possibly.
So when they were playing, at some point they had something. I forget what it was, but it's a clip, and I've seen Shaq is talking about it. They're showing the clip while Shaq is discussing it. He's like, we're playing a game or something, and Chuck takes the ball and throws it right at Shaq, and I think it hit him in the head or something. And Shaq just goes over and starts swinging at it. Next thing you know, they're taking swings at one another. I think Shaq was with Orlando at the time, just to give you an idea how far back this goes. And he said they separate them on the court, and they bring Barkley back, and Shaq's like, "That's it. I don't care. I'm kicking the crap out. I don't care. I'm gonna kill this guy, you know." And he said he's like, "I'm walking back, and before I can even get to the locker room, there's one of the guys there with the phone, and he says, Shaq, it's funny. He's like, I don't want to talk. He's like, it's your mother. He's like, oh, all right. And he says, he goes, I get on the phone, and it's my mother and Charles Barkley's mother at the same time. And they apparently the two of them are friends. So their mothers know one another and are friends. And they call Shaq and they're like, what is up with you two? The two of you are acting like fools. And then Barkley's mother said, don't you go try punching my baby, you know? And Shaq's mother's like, don't you dare. You listen now. I'm telling you right now, I'm your mother. I'm telling you, you go make nice with him. I already spoke to Charles. He's waiting outside their locker room. And the two of you better go and hug it out. And he goes, I looked down the hall and I could see Chuck standing outside of the locker room. And I walked up to him and he's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, man. He's like, we just dabbed it up. We're like, all right. He's like, ever since then, we've been good.
I don't have an older brother, but if I did have an older brother, I would want him to be like Charles Barkley. I was always envious of Charles because he got all the calls. So the day he hit me with the ball, I was like, good, now I'm about to knock him out.
I wouldn't want Fisher necessarily to take that shot up.
So we get into our little scuffle.
Oh, there's a swing by O'Neal. And they got a blue.
As soon as I get to the thing, Jerome handed me the phone. And I hear this lady's voice I never heard before. You better not put your hands on my baby. And I'm like, who is this? It's Mama Barkley. And I was like, hello? She's like, yeah, I'm on the phone with your mama. And his mom, my mom was on three-way. Yeah, don't you know we've been best friends for about 20, 30 years? Now you go after the game, you go get me hooked. Y'all don't need to be fighting on TV like that. So that's how me and him became cool. So now, like, when people ask us, oh, are you in charge? You really serious? I always tell us that the answer is no.
That's really cool.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you think he made a who's the so in the broadcast it's Barkley, O'Neal, Ernie Johnson, and then who's the fourth guy?
It's Kenny Smith. Kenny the Jet
That's it.
Smith.
He kept making a comment after the game, like how he's from New York.
Mhm.
And you're right, he was born and raised in New York and what it means in New York. And you've got a basketball court on every corner in the city.
I
And
saw
that's why
this.
it's the basketball mecca and all
Yep.
that stuff. And Shaq's like, how many times are you going to say you're from New York? Like, what are you trying to bolster about something? He's like, but he made the comment. He goes, I used to wear a Patrick Ewing jersey under my jersey when I played. He goes, and you don't see me bragging about that. But when he said that, it stuck with me because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that was interesting.
I know. Yeah, no, it was really sweet. I watched it more than once. I was like, that's really sweet.
Dante, what was the second thing that involved Patrick Ewing that you wanted to talk about? You said there were two things.
Well, I think the one was just seeing him in the parade, and you met one of you said it. It's like seeing him hold the trophy and like having them be like, "Yo, Patrick, everybody wants you to get like." There was just a respect for him, and I guess my take in the last 20 years has been when I watch NBA highlight clips, they talk about the best ever. You know, when they talk about the centers, they talk about Shaq. You know, Elijah Wan is always mentioned in some way or another. There's obviously many guys who have been, you know, who have come since then. And Ewing has always been just one of these guys who was like, look, I mean, he was great for what he did, but he never won a championship.
Yeah.
And he had a Knicks team that was truly never able to get beyond, like, past the Bulls, at least with Jordan.
Yep.
And he played. What they don't say is that he and most of these other guys we're talking about, they played in an era that there's no comparison to the 90s era today, because you have a wide array of talent and it's spread across the league. So you can take a guy like Wemby and say, yeah, he's a physical freak. And so he's got all sorts of advantages. Fine. But there's like half a dozen other guys you can name. Like this guy's an absolute, I mean, look, Brunson, for heaven's sake. There's, there's a lot of talent on the team. When in the 90s, there was a lot of talent across the league, absolutely. But you had one guy who was so above and beyond everyone else that even these guys who, if you take Jordan out of the equation, you would have seen probably the Knicks would have had a championship. There would have been a more of a spread. The Pacers might have won a championship somewhere in there, but
absolutely
nobody could
league defining. Yeah.
Yes. And the Knicks, year after year after year, had to get past the Bulls. Just to get to the finals, you had to get to them. So the Knicks never got to the finals because the Bulls, but nobody else got to the finals either. Through so many of those years. All that to say, Patrick Ewing was an absolute workhorse. And he never complained. He never got on and said, well, they won't get, I don't have anybody else to play with me. He never got on and complained about not getting calls. Or he was a very, very quiet player. He never was a guy who was like on the, being interviewed after the fact and complaining about nothing, just a worker.
Yeah.
He came in, did his work. And I loved that about him. And so I like seeing these guys kind of acknowledge him in a certain respect, because you got to say, again, it's not about feeling bad. It's just to say him, Barkley, Reggie Miller, these are all guys who probably would have won a championship if not for one man who just made it impossible. And none of the guys we're playing today, like none of them have a guy who is that dominant who have to play it. They just don't.
Yeah. There's a lot more parity in today's NBA. And
yes.
I mean, but even though we're talking about Jordan and how great and dominant he was, and it's partly because like the teams he was on he had good players with him. Like Scottie Pippen is a Hall of Fame player. It could be argued because he played with Michael Jordan, but
there it is.
He's still. It's a little bit of what we talked about last time. I mean, with Brunson, right? Like Brunson is elevating these other guys. Like Karl Anthony Towns was a number one pick. He's obviously a very talented player, but it was he finally hit his full potential. I mean, I think that's part of it. And you can't tell me it's not partly because of Jalen Brunson and his leadership. Like you just can't.
I agree.
Tell me that. But OG Anunoby playing to that level, and Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges just kind of knowing what they need to do. Kind of, it's like they're not overextending themselves, and some games they don't score points, but they do the other things really well, and really just having the other the team was just really well put together. I think that's comparing it to Patrick Ewing's teams. The point you were making earlier about how Ewing was just trying to carry them there the whole time. You just can't do it because, I mean, I guess the one thing is Patrick Ewing is in a position where he's not necessarily going to be a playmaker because he's a center. So he's not the guy that you need to elevate. They really needed someone else there to like help make some of these other guys rise. But yeah, I mean, the team that just won here was also just really well put together. I mean, deep with like 10, 11 guys that could easily play on any given night. And it's, I just don't think you guys would know a little bit better about when Patrick Ewing was playing. Although, I mean, he was my favorite player just because I was young when he was around, and Dante's favorite player was Patrick Ewing. But I guess those teams weren't as deep and as good. I mean, you've talked about it a little bit. Like, John Starks is a good player, but he had off shooting nights, and you can maybe slow him down.
No. He did not have nearly what the Knicks have right now. The Knicks this year, remind me more of the Bulls in the 90s than any other team. And it's largely because of what you're just saying, Dave. I mean, look, you just said it. OG Anunoby, Shamet, like legend. These guys it's not just about playing at an elevated level, which they did. And you said it, each one of them kind of had their night. And that's how the Bulls were. When you play in the Bulls, it was like, okay, maybe we're going to swarm Jordan, do everything we can to swarm Jordan. But it becomes, who's going to be the guy tonight who just steps up, and whether it's Scottie Pippen, okay, he's almost like the Towns equivalent insofar as he should be a superstar. But then you had you had Horace Grant. And when they lost Horace Grant, they brought in Dennis Rodman. So it's like, who's the guy who's going to get every freaking rebound? And that's the Knicks have Josh Hart. These guys who step in and play a very specific role. Without any ego. And they just know what their role is and they're happy to do it. And every night it might be somebody else who just managed. It's like one day, OG Anunoby, what did he score? Like he shot like 10 out of 12 from the 3-point shot, like insane numbers. Then he gets Shamit one day, he's hitting insane numbers. Then it's the Alvarado with one day. It's just like, that's how it was playing the Bulls. Cause it's like, okay, you're going to shut down Jordan or do what? You can't shut down Jordan, but you're gonna throw the kitchen sink at Jordan. And then it's a question of, well, you can't cover all other 5 guys. Will the guy who's open manage to burn you? And against the Bulls, it was always yes. John Paxson, Steve Kerr, these guys hitting, and I talked about this on our last show. It's like these guys have these shots, these moments in their careers that you're just like, this is a guy who was lucky to be on the roster. And he made this, he's got this classic moment that will forever live in Bulls history. The Knicks had that in many ways this season. And the teams back in that time, they absolutely did not. And that goes back to what we were saying before. Like Ewing on the Knicks reminds me of how, frankly, who was it? Namath on the Jets. It was like the Jets drafted Joe Namath. And then they're like, well, fuck, we have Joe Namath. So receivers, like, whatever, who cares? Linemen, like, who cares? We have Joe Namath. It was like, well, yeah, okay. So you managed to get to it 1 year, but then beyond that, you just don't have the right pieces. This Knicks team is not only well constructed, but they're actually constructed for the long haul. They are going to be competitive.
Here's one of my favorite things about what we just went through with this Knicks championship run is you look at it, and now every year, no matter where they finish in the regular season standings, you're looking at this team and you're scared to play them because they have Jalen Brunson. And they have this team that has this mentality and attitude that's following his lead. I mean, one of the things that was most fascinating to me while watching this was every time one of these guys talked to the media, they said the exact same thing. Like they all were they were saying the exact, not like word for word verbatim, but it was the same message all the time. It's like, it's always 0-0, play with desperate, job's not finished. Like stuff
exactly
like
you want to hear.
Not celebrating yet.
Yeah, I just, maybe we could maybe find this too because I just saw it within the last day or two. I didn't save it or anything, but Josh Hart was talking somewhere on a stage, and he mentioned that the Knicks were watching when the Spurs beat the Thunder, and they watched them celebrate. And Josh Hart was like, I called JB up and was like, these guys think they're gonna win it. Like that just like motivated us even more. The Knicks did not celebrate that way. They were very like shake hands, a lot of respect, respect between both teams, which, we could talk about the Spurs on that one because you were talking a little bit about that. They were very not respectful of us, and that came back to haunt them. But I felt like watching, I watched it and felt the same way as Josh Hart did in that moment when I was watching. I was like, these guys, like, this was their championship, this game right here. This was it. So how are they gonna come back from that? And ultimately they couldn't.
That was similar to San Antonio this year, where like everyone was talking to them about like, they got to beat OKC. Like OKC's gonna repeat, da da da. And then they beat OKC, and that was like, for them, for a young team, I felt like that was a mountaintop for them. And then as I looked at JB, I was like, you see that reaction because like they think they're gonna win it, like they think it's over this year.
Dave, do you know who this guy Nick Wright is? He's a sports commentator.
He's on Fox, I believe.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know, he's some loudmouth.
Yeah. He 100%. He's absolutely trying to get headlines with some of the things he says. But I watched him. I listened to a clip from him earlier today on YouTube, and he was talking about exactly this point. And he was saying, first of all, he was just going off on Wembanyama.
Yeah, it's easy to right now.
Yeah, it is easy to do right now. But quite frankly, he deserves it. He brought it all on himself.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, elaborate on that, just in the way that he carried himself on the court, because I didn't really see a lot of him off the court.
Both.
It was both. Yeah, both.
The worst thing he did, as far as I'm concerned, is the game ends, they've lost. And he shows no sportsmanship whatsoever. He just walks right off the court. Now, that's a big no-no, okay? I'm not saying nobody's ever done it before. The Pistons famously did it back in the 90s when they finally lost to the Bulls. And it was, what's his face, Isaiah Thomas. No surprise. who led that whole thing. And everybody looks at that team to this day and is like, that's just bad form. Just bad form. So for Wembanyama to do that, I think is very bad form. But this guy, Nick Wright, was going off because he was saying exactly the point Dave was just making, which is to say, he celebrated after the conference finals like they had just won the championship. And he says, look, it's not proven, but I firmly believe that it's because in Wembanyama's mind, beating New York was going to be light work. He thought they had effectively already won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of a better theory than that. That sounds
well,
like
and then
the
his play reflects
theory.
that because even though he was on top for many games, he couldn't follow through, right? He couldn't close it out.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, he
And
couldn't
he
close it
said,
at all.
I think he said at some point, I don't know if it was before the series or when it was, but he said at some point, we don't have to play amazing. We just have to play okay. Like we just have to play our game and we'll win.
I think the part that made it worse for him off the court was, I will say, I've said this a few times to some people, like when I've been talking to them about Wembanyama, is English isn't his first language. I feel like you can see him when he's talking. He's kind of like thinking about things to say. That said, there are some things that you don't need to know English for to kind of understand when you're playing sports. It's like the lack of sportsmanship, and really their whole team seemingly didn't give us any credit for beating them. It was always, we didn't do this, we didn't do that.
Yep.
We've been winning. One of the things Wembanyama said after the series was, we dominated the series.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you didn't. You lost 4 games out of 5. Like you did the opposite of dominate. But what he's saying is, for most of the game, they were winning. Like that, and that's true.
Sure.
But like,
sure,
the way the Knicks play, and another, like, why it's exciting for why we have Jalen Brunson. Like, we're gonna always be in the mix. We might not be the best team every year, but we're always gonna be in the mix, and we have the best closer in the league. But what we've done to these teams is, like, we made them start rationalizing what was happening to them, and they were trying to, like, motivate themselves. You saw it with Cleveland too, where their coach came out and was like, analytically we should be up 2-1 or whatever he said, or 3-0. Like,
analytically we won the game.
Right.
The guy from Cleveland said that.
You're like, what the hell is this guy even talking about? But then he says it to the media, and you're like, it's like what I think they're trying to do in these moments is trying to motivate themselves, because they are trying to convince themselves of this. Like, they know they're down 3-0, and they're like, we're getting our asses kicked, and we're just now trying to, like, I think that's like part of their motivation behind it. So like Wembanyama and the Spurs were kind of doing the same thing, where like, we dominated.
Some of that could be strategy too, though, to the media, right? Like, we're not flustered. That isn't eroded our confidence at all. Meanwhile, you might be holy shit behind the locker room.
The thing is, though, is like, I think if it is strategy, it's not a good strategy, because I think the flip side of that is you're now giving the Knicks something to hear, and it's like, okay, you think you dominated the series? We're just gonna come back and kick your ass in Game 5. Like, it's like you have to be careful with that type of stuff. And I just think you don't want to give the guys on this team and the attitude that they have, I don't think you want to give them anything. And I'm curious if that hunger is still within them now that they've won one. I mean, I hope it is, and I'd like to believe that it is, but I think it is natural to maybe ease up a little bit on that. I mean, we'll see, but they just broke these teams, and Wembanyama proved to me that he was mentally weak, very weak, and he's got a lot to learn before he's ever.
That's the thing. He is young.
The reins.
He does have a lot to learn about humility and sportsmanship. I did see something. I don't know if it was with their own press or with like mixed press, where he said something to the effect of "See you never," and dropped the microphone.
Mm-hmm. That was like national press after the game, I guess. After the game. And I don't even know I don't even get it, what he's trying to say there. Like,
that's where I've heard what you said before, Dave, where people saying like, well, it's not his first language. He might not have meant it that way.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. I'm sorry. I don't buy that for a second. Like, I've heard him talking. He speaks perfectly good English. He knows what he's saying. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard him say anything where I'm like, oh, I can see he's searching for the words. Like, no. He knows everything he's saying. Maybe, okay, he may not understand. I'll grant this. Maybe see you never. He doesn't quite know what that means, because I don't think any of us know what the hell that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
You're coming back next year. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
But so maybe that word, but everything else, we dominated them. Like all the rest of it. You said the word, Mike. No humility. None. It's like if he had come out after that game and he said, look, I got to be honest. I got to give my hats off to the Knicks because they played a hell of a game,
for
hell of
sure.
a series. Frankly, they deserve to win. And this gives me a lot to think about in the offseason. I know I have a lot of work to do. I think my teammates have a lot of work to do. We're going to come back next year with a fire in our bellies. We're going to learn from this and be better.
Yeah.
Everybody would have been like, dude,
like an unsung
watch
hero.
out for them next year because they are fucking serious and they see the reality. What you're seeing instead is exactly what you'd expect from a privileged, over-entitled young man who has not been challenged nearly enough and doesn't seem to have anybody around him going, hey, Victor, I know you're 7'6" and you can shoot the three, and that's awesome. But a little humility here.
Yeah.
One would go a long way for your publicity, but two might actually be what you need because whatever you're doing, whatever you've got going on here is not working on the court, man. And that's the ultimate measure.
What's interesting about the Spurs is they seem to be following his lead. The other players seem to be following his lead. And maybe that's because of the head coach. I don't know. He's a young guy, but they talked about it during the series, and he said something about they have a quiet arrogance about them. So it almost seemed like he was kind of telling them to lean into this lack of humility. You know what I mean? Like so I don't know where that's coming from exactly.
The team is very French in terms of their behavior and hospitality.
I really was getting pissed off at him over the course of the game. Like, not just it's one thing to be frustrated that a guy's good. All the years I ever watched Michael Jordan beat the Knicks, it's like, look, is it frustrating? Is it aggravating? Of course it is. But there's never a point where you're like, he's just not this good. He's just getting the calls. He's, like the league is in it for him. Like, you just never got that feeling. It was always a thing of like, dude, Jesus Christ. I mean, what do you got to do to beat this guy? He's fucking Superman, And there's a respect in that. I don't get any of that from this guy.
Yeah.
And did you see the one thing he tried to do? He drew a foul on Robinson. He's shouting to Robinson, I'm in your head, boy. He's saying, you could read his lips. I'm in your head, boy. It's like, dude, you're down 4-1. Like, who's in who's 3-1? Who's in whose head here? Like, it's psychotic.
When he did that, it was only 2-1, and they were up by he's talking shit when they're up 25 at that point. It's a little easier to talk when you're up that big.
So I hope Robinson was in his face when they came back and beat them in that game. I really do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I hope Robinson was in his face.
They deserve to have the biggest loss in NBA Finals history, or like the biggest deficit, whatever it is.
Comeback.
I don't know exactly what you call a comeback. Yeah, like they deserve. He deserves that, and I hope that actually lasts for a while. Honestly, after watching this, because before the playoffs, I'll say, but really before the finals, I think the image of him was like, oh, he's like this once in a lifetime player. Oh, I really would like him to be good, and I hope he does well. And then after watching this, I'm like, that guy's now like a villain of the league. Like he's gone full heel on this, like NBA heel.
But let me ask you this: like, let me play devil's advocate. Is it the way that he was treated by fans what put that anger streak into him? Because here's the thing, and it's interesting to hear you guys say that, because I think maybe now it goes back further than that, because you're saying it's even the way that he celebrated when they beat OKC, right? So if it's that, then sure, I could see that maybe it started there and the fans are pissed. But you guys saw, I mean, he got egged. He got flat out hit squarely in the back of the head with an egg coming out of the bus.
How are you dealing with these incidents?
I mean, I didn't really think much of it. I just saw that one video of the eggs. I didn't see any other one. But it's okay. I don't dislike it. Obviously, it's not good at all. But it doesn't bother me.
Well, it would be gaslighting for him to show up now and play victim. You don't show up and act like you're all high and mighty and talk shit and everything else. And then when people start talking shit back to you, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm only being nasty because they've been nasty to me. It's like, did you hear the story about he got those Knicks fans kicked out of the hotel?
Yes, I saw that.
No, really?
Yeah.
Well, they were like, they were
just one side of the story, but
the story was this, Mike. Some guy posted online. He basically said, we were staying in the Ritz, he and his family. They're at the Ritz-Carlton in New York City.
Okay.
right out of the gate, these people are fucking loaded, not for nothing,
Yeah.
but he's there in Manhattan. He's telling the story on his phone while he walks. He's obviously walking up to a car, like a big SUV where he's going to get driven somewhere. I'm like, this guy's fucking multi-millionaire. But whatever. He's totally decked out in Knicks gear with all his kids, and they're like obviously diehard Knicks fans. And he's telling the story. Yeah, we were staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Turns out the Spurs are in the same hotel. We're on a penthouse floor. He's like, we have a suite. It turns out there's only one other suite on the floor, and Victor Wembanyama is staying in it. So we were all decked out in our gear, waiting by the elevator to go down. We saw him, and one of my friends said, "Hey, good luck tonight, big guy." And he didn't say anything. He's like, I meant to I was just literally just saying, "Hey, good luck tonight," like whatever. And apparently they said the next thing you know, the hotel manager was at our door, and they basically told us they were asking us to leave. And I said, why are we leaving? What have we done wrong? And they were just like, well, we just want to ask you to leave. Long story short, they were blaming Wembanyama for kicking them out of the hotel. Now, can we absolutely validate that was true, so on and so forth? No, but I do think that if it was proven to be false, you would have heard about it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So just on every level, he's coming off like a conceited little prick.
Yeah, it just adds to the theory that he is this entitled brat who needs to learn.
Yes.
And I just think what ended up happening here is it came to light because he played the New York team and everyone was watching. So now most people know.
Yep. Maybe he's been, maybe he's been exposed.
Man.
I think if you paid, like, I didn't really watch a lot. I mean, so what I'll say is, like, through this playoffs, I saw him when they played the Timberwolves. He elbowed that guy straight in the face, like just straight up elbowed him in the face, and it was intentional. Like, you look at it, 100% intentional. So that's where he picked up the flagrant 2. So that's why it was such a big deal about the flagrant fouls. Like, they threw him out of the game for that because it was so obvious. Wow. And it was a moment when someone got under his skin, was playing him physical, and he lost his cool. Like, so I remember I saw that, and I texted a buddy of mine, and I was like, I feel like with Wemby, if you play him physical, like, you get under his skin and he loses it. And sure enough, that ended up happening a few times. Like, so even in the OKC series, he did a little bit of that too, and he kind of got away with it. But, like, again, it's not as big media spotlight wise, so I don't think it was as big of a story. But if you look around, you'll find videos of him doing things in that series where you're like, whoa, what is that? Like, a little dirty, a little, he's trying to be shifty and play the game a little bit. Like, and then when with the Knicks series, and then the lack of calls, probably because they didn't want him to sit out a game, because they knew if he sat out a game it would be. So I think they let him get away with some things. They honestly, the one they called on him in that series against the Knicks was probably one of the tamest things that he did. It just was, again, one of those situations where the Knicks like basically asked for a review, so they reviewed it, and if you look at the camera, like, he did hit Towns in the face, but it was probably the weakest of all the brutal shit he was doing, honestly. So yeah, to me, it's like he was always this little entitled kind of, kid, and now it's just more in the national spotlight. He did himself no favor. Like, I think the PR image of him is just completely taken a 180.
I agree. I'm watching it right here. I'm watching this foul. He elbowed Naz Reid, I guess. It's the flagrant. And I'm watching it. And it is brazen. I mean, here's the thing about him. Yeah, he's 7'6". He's also a fucking beanpole. You know what I mean? Like, any one of these guys who might only be 7 feet tall, if they really wanted to, like, they're much more muscular than him. Any one of them, if they just intentionally wanted to do it, they could crack him in the head so hard that he'd get a concussion. And, I wouldn't want to do it in the finals, but I got to be honest. If I was coaching a team and I was playing him and I saw some of this crap, and I saw, like, for example, he a flagrant like what he did on Brunson, our best player, I would really have to think about going to, like, one of the guys, the big, strong guys at the end of my bench, and going, look, I want you to go in, and I want you to stand next to him at the foul line, and I don't even care if you don't hide it. I want you to find a way to take 2 hands and hit him dead in the face so hard that he cries. He bleeds and cries, and he's out of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, Because there's a part of me that wants to go, look, I get that you're 7'6", but any one of these guys, if they really wanted to, could pick you up over their head and break your back.
Yes.
So maybe you'll think twice before you throw those big fucking elbows around a little bit. Because I got a guy who doesn't give a shit if he's out for all next season. I'll pay him. I don't care.
Yeah.
I know that's not fair. Like, it's not right. I shouldn't be saying these things. But when I see this stuff, I'm looking at this foul of what he did to this guy. And it was clear. He purposely took as hard as he could. I'm like, oh, if you're going to do that, two can play at that game.
Yeah.
And let's make you see just actually how weak you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had some guy who was 6'11", and 300 pounds, what's to stop him from just cracking? How about I kick you in the knee as hard as I possibly can? Like, literally just boom. Can I break your knee and take you out of your career? Like, I don't like that there's a part of me that wants to do that. But when I see this lack of sportsmanship like this, I sort of want to be like, there should be a price to pay. You should understand when you play a game like this, when you have all the advantages that a guy like that does, and you play dirty like that, nobody's above the law.
Although at the same rate for the Knicks, not to give into that is ever so sweeter now. Like at the time, I would have loved to see some of that, but like now you say, all right, they came out clean. I
hate to bring it back to Brunson all the time, but there's at the parade, I saw a clip of it, or maybe I think it was the parade where he was like, when people doubt you, it's like you don't have to say shit to them, especially when you win. And like it's just like, again, it's like that's just like that's at least it's either coming from him or it's coming from Mike Brown. That message.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I tend to lean Brunson only because he's always the one who's saying it. So it's easier for me to believe that that's coming from him. Mike Brown, I think, is just maybe kind of reiterating the message and letting them kind of, manage themselves in like a kangaroo court type of environment. Like,
I think you're right.
Like, he's just like kind of like taking a step back and just being like, how do I move these chess pieces the right way?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, just let them do their thing and like, okay, like they're gonna follow this guy's lead, and I have a bunch of guys like soldiers who are trickling that down to the rest of the roster too, like Towns and Bridges and Josh Hart, especially those three, just kind of like making sure that message is being conveyed to the rest of the roster. And going back to your other point about kind of wanting someone to go in and like crack Wemby a little bit, if you will, like the thought had crossed my mind numerous times. We have guys on the end of the bench that we could easily do it with. And honestly, I don't even think you have to do that much to him. I think you just have to get under his skin, and he loses his cool himself. Like that's at least where he's at right now. Not to say that in 5 years he matures a little bit, but I think they could have easily done that. I think they had some opportunities, and I think we even did that a little bit. Like that, there was one game they called the technical foul on Mitch Robinson, and you look at the replay, it's like Wemby straight up shoved him with two hands, and they did he straight up and pushed him with two hands, and they didn't call anything. They called the foul. They called the technical on Robinson, which they ended up taking back because they're like, oh, we reviewed this. This wasn't correct. It's like, no shit, it wasn't correct. But all Mitch Robinson did to draw a push like that was like not much. He basically went behind him, gave him one little arm, and sort of nudged him. And then this Wembanyama turns around and shoved him with two hands. And it's like I'm just not even that's what I mean. I don't think you even had to do a lot to just get under his skin. If you want to pay him back and try to actually cause harm to him, I mean I think that's a little different, but yeah, it's not right. But I think you can get him flustered where he takes himself out of the game. It's kind of I think that's the sweet spot that you want to do.
Yeah, and you don't really now in retrospect, you don't want hanging over your head. Well, he didn't play the last two games. He didn't play the last 3 games.
It's much sweeter this.
Because Brunson fouled him and he went out. What would have happened if he was in? Would they have come back? Let's see next year, right? We don't need that shit. So you're right. He self-imploded. He didn't need us to do that for him.
You know what's crazy is he really did self-implode, because there were a couple of those games at the end where it was a close game and they had an opportunity maybe to win it, and he fucked up. He threw the pass off of his teammate's back on that. And what was that, game 2? When we stole that one.
Yep.
He missed the shot at the end of the game. Like, he was like not,
Yep.
yeah, he turned the ball over like in crunch time, like missing free throws. Like he was choking hard.
Yep. To me, it's a classic. Now that we're having the conversation, first of all, it's a classic David and Goliath, which is sort of crazy if you think about it. Like you have Wemby, who has all the natural gifts, all the reasons on paper why you should obviously win. And then you have a guy like Brunson who, without the physical gifts, but the work ethic. Listen, you see the clips of his dad teaching him and the way that he taught him, and everybody goes, oh, was it abusive? And Brunson sort of jokes like, oh, it wasn't easy. But his father has even said in one of these videos I saw, one of the interviews I saw, and he said, look, I would have thought it was too much, except I constantly asked him, do you want to be great? What do you want? And he'd say to me, I want to be great. I said, all right, then let's do it. This is what it takes. The kid is great. He
did the right thing. Then the father did the right thing, right? Because it's like, if you really want that, right? Like, I'm not going to let you step on like the world stage delusional about yourself and about your abilities. Like, you have to be eyes wide open. People are going to call you short. They're going to call you slow. Like, just get that out right now. And how you going to work around that? Because your whole life, you're like, here, this is a safe spot, but you get out there, you're not going to hear that shit. And what's amazing, Dante or Dave, you guys were, I think both of you saying it. Now the coach is even, because that's his mentality now, Brunson. The coach is happy to let that be like the team culture. So now all of a sudden, all this that the father's been working with his son is now like the culture of the New York Knicks, which is just freaking wild.
Well, it's like, the culture of this team is it's like basically we're the anti-Spurs. You know what I mean? Like the culture of the Knicks has become humility. One game at a time,
blue collar,
one goal. Yeah, blue collar. We're gonna work hard. Like we might not be the most talented physically, but we're gonna outwork you. With hustle plays like Josh Hart getting rebounds and all that stuff. Like it just all fits in perfectly. One thing about Brunson's dad I wanted to say too is I heard a clip where I forget they were on with him and Jalen were on some like post game show, and they were making comments about how Jalen Brunson's the best Nick ever, and his dad was like, "Oh no, absolutely no. I love my son, but no, he's not the best Nick ever. Patrick Ewing's the best Nick ever." Like he's like says things like that, and you're like on air, right?
Now.
So what is he doing in those moments? Like someone, I forget who it might have been Danielle. She might have sent me this and been like, he's being kind of tough on him, and I'm like, he knows what he's doing. He's motivated. He's keeping him hungry
for next season.
Yeah, he's keeping him hungry. Like I was like, this is great parenting.
No, but I'm gonna stop the argument too. Yeah. I love my son. Patrick Ewing, the best Nick that I've ever witnessed. So.
Oh, I didn't say that.
No, I just want people to
I'm going to say it's going to be debatable.
What he just did was one of the most individual and is one of the greatest individual and team seasons of all time. And there's actually, it's factual. Like there's documentation for it now too, because think of this, like the Knicks won the NBA Cup, a relatively new thing within the last 5 years. I don't remember exactly when it started, but they won that. So now this team is the first team to win both the NBA Cup and the NBA Finals in a given season. So in this new era, they're the first team to ever do it. Jalen Brunson was MVP of that NBA Cup. He then, we win the Eastern Conference. He becomes the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. We go to the NBA Finals, we win that, and he wins the NBA Finals MVP. So no one has ever won those MVPs like that either. And I think he won some award during the All-Star weekend, like some like 3-point shooting type of thing. I forget. I saw like a picture of it. I actually don't know that one. I don't even remember that one. But so I mean, even with all that stuff, has anyone had a better season than him? And then like you look at his stats during the playoffs, and it's like compared to some of the greatest runs of playoff hit, it's like up there with every single one of them. And you're like, so this guy did this at generously 6'2". Who even knows if he's that tall, right? Like he might not even be that tall.
Yes.
These things tend to come in bursts, which I think is sort of interesting. You have these little pockets where like these things seem to come together. So I guess there's the Jets fan in me is somehow hoping against hope that there's something in the air.
Well, Dante, it's funny you said that. The closest thing I can think of with a stat that can back this up is I used to say for Dad, who's a Mets Jets fan, passed that on to us. In 1969, he was 20 years old, and the Jets won the Super Bowl, and the Mets won the World Series. And I've never actually asked him about this, but I've always kind of thought to myself, that must have been awesome for like a 20-year-old. Like if that was 20-year-old me and that happened, that would have been like, it would have been nuts. Like I would have had a great time being a 20-year-old in New York City with both of the teams winning. And at that point, he probably was like, "Oh, this is going to be great. Like my teams are going to be good." Like, that's what I would be thinking.
This to look forward to.
The Mets were relatively new. The Mets, like they came in '62, so like it's like they win in the first 10 years. They win a World Series. Like I got a lot of good things coming my way. Like that's exactly what I would be thinking. And Jets kind of the same thing. It's like Super Bowl III. You're like, I mean, they by the time they hit Super Bowl 60, you would think they've at least been in multiple, right? And of course, obviously, we have not been back. But so like it happens in sports because even looking at the Knicks, like bring the Knicks into this. 1970, I think they were in the NBA Finals. I can't remember if they won or not. But
they won in 73.
They definitely won in 73, which again, the Mets were in the World Series in 73. So it's like, again, it's like we're talking a few years and there's a few championships. There were also less teams in the 70s, but whatever, regardless, like it was kind of happening in spurts. In New York, again, the Rangers and the Knicks were in the finals at the same time in 94, right? Like, wasn't that the same time?
Yes.
So
it's crazy.
I was thinking about you guys, because I was more thinking about you, Dave, because I mean, Dante, you have a good memory of the Mets winning in '86?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Like you still remember how that felt and everything. But Dave, you were alluding, I think it was the last time that and like it dawned on me, like you've not felt that. You're like, in my time, I've not seen this happen with the teams that I root for. So
seen any of my teams win a championship. This was the first one.
I mean, that's
40
just
years without in any sport. And some people might think that who cares about that if we're being like, okay, like sports, but sports is one of the hobbies that I have. Like I watch sports, and I'm very into sports. So this was always something
to feel that feeling, man. To now know what that is like. And you're absolutely right. I feel like you have to win it to then appreciate how rare it is. When you're striving for it, it's just like every year you want to be the year, but when you win it, you want to covet the shit out of it, I
was like, even if they don't win, like this has been the best stretch of Knicks basketball I have ever watched in my life. Where I could fully understand and appreciate it because I was alive when they went to the finals in '99, but I was probably not as into it as I am now. I was around when they won in '94, but I was not watching. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in that series. I was a little kid, so this and the Linsanity run a few years ago when they played like a month or two of Jeremy Lin, and it was like they went on that long winning streak. These were the best runs that I had seen of Knicks basketball. So it was so enjoyable to watch. And when I was at the watch party for Game 5, to like be there when they actually won was crazy. I think I sent you guys some videos, but like it's
amazing videos.
It was so fun, and it was just great to experience that. And I'm happy for all Knicks fans, honestly, even the ones that saw it in '73, but like most of us had not seen a Knicks championship.
One for the books, man. For sure, one for the books.